that they see the racial divide that's building in unemployment. They see the gender divide, and they're looking to try and push government that way, but also realize what monetary policy has to do with it.
As you mentioned earlier, Caroline, it was very striking in this press conference, not only in Fed Chair Powell's remarks, but two of the reporters later on asked questions in that arena. Some of this perhaps is defense. Last month, Democrats in the House put forward a piece of legislation, the Federal Reserve Racial and Economic Opportunity Act, that would add this as a third mandate to the Fed. And I think the Fed probably doesn't want to have that constriction on their policy making. But my experience with the business community, the policymaking community, is this is something we all get. And as Americans, we want our country truly to be a land of opportunity across racial boundaries, across other boundaries. And this is something that many of us believe in very, very deeply. And I would say that's part of Fed Powell's operating system as well.
All right, Jeff Korzenik, Fifth Third Bank Chief Investment Strategist. You'll be sticking with us for more on the economic recovery and second chance hiring and, again, building a more inclusive labor market. That discussion continuing next. This is Bloomberg. So I want to go back out to our guest, Jeff Korzenik. He's the Chief Investment Strategist at Fifth Third Bank. Jeff, as Romaine was just saying, one of the really good things that we sort of learned about saw materialize in the late stages of the last expansion is that when the labor market does get tight, we don't see spiraling inflation as some people have feared. We see businesses invest in expanding the workforce, skills training, looking at potential employees that they may not have previously considered. For example, people who had been in prison. How much does that experience help then inform policy now in really sort of rethinking how strong the economy can get before the Fed or before policymakers tap the brakes?
I think it's extraordinarily important, really in two ways. One, the business community simply hadn't had a seat at the table for many of these discussions. And very often people who have been very active in criminal justice policy just don't have experience in the business community and understand their needs. So having the business community step up in that way and be involved in the policy process directly has been critically important in delivering better policy. The other factor is it's simply working. When we find businesses who adopt a model where you are selective about who you hire, find the people who are ready for employment, and then critically provide them tools to stay employed. That might mean access to housing or transportation. You get not just an employee, you actually get an extraordinarily good employee.
You were recently elected to the membership in the Council on Criminal Justice in recognition for the work you've done on this. How do you think policy is developing in this way? Is there an optimism going forward, even if some pay service to what Trump has achieved in terms of prison focus and policy? And how will it develop post-November, do you think?
There's a tremendous amount of energy around this. I frankly was pessimistic when unemployment rates went soaring that this would get sidelined, but I'm gratified it has not. As you mentioned, the president has been very active in this. The passage of the First Step Act, which governed outcomes for federal prisoners. Now, federal prisoners are only 7 or 8% of the prison population, but that was extraordinarily important on a symbolic basis. Now it's going at the state and local level. Most of this legislation is at the state level, and I'm seeing a lot of reform movements that are involving business-friendly reforms. So I think that's going to have a positive impact.
And so then, Jeff, with regards to the current recession we're in and the current downturn in the labor market, some of the gains that we have been making with regards to getting some of those types of people back into the workforce, have those gains sort of been interrupted?
They have to some degree, but there's a new angle. I hate to use that word, but there's a new element here that really hadn't been as much part of the discussion. And that's if you look at people with felony convictions in the United States, there are 19 million of them. So it's an enormous population that is underemployed and really could contribute to the economy. It also has distinctive characteristics. And one of the tragedies of our nation right now is that 1 in 3 black men in America has a felony conviction. So that's a tremendous obstacle to economic opportunity. So we can't hope to live up to our aspiration to be the land of opportunity for all until we offer second chance second chance employment. So that's helping drive the initiative right now, and I think that's a big plus.
All right. Our thanks to Jeff Korzenik. Great perspective. Really appreciate the sort of real world look at the ramifications of all of this. Jeff Korzenik, Fifth Third Bank Chief Investment Strategist.